Yes, the bus is back on the road. It is Friday night again, and it's just after 9 o'clock. We're a smidgen, wee minute late or whatever, but you know what? I'm going to say, you know, it's coming. You know what that means? It must be that Friday feeling here on the Boys on the Bus. As Adam Ida is here to remind us now. This, the new holder of the Klaxon, as we discovered last week. And as you can see, folks, it is a triple threat of Tim's tonight because we've got a Friday friend. Johnny is back joining us. Nowhere exotic tonight. He's back in Blighty, but it is his birthday tomorrow, so happy birthday in advance, Johnny.
Thank you.
No, how you doing anyway, mate?
I'm doing all right, yeah. I was trying to become Canada's second favourite Tim through the week there when I was in Montreal, but there was no shows to match up, so I didn't manage to do that. But yeah, I've had a good day today. I've been mixing with the stars today. I don't know if you've seen, I put it on. I was in the pub at Waverley train station this afternoon, and I was sitting there, and me and the wife says, "Who's that guy sitting there? Who's he remind you of?" I just looked around and I just seen this fellow Baldy, and I just for a laugh I said, "Oh, Duncan Goodhue." She said, "No, it's that guy off the radio." And I looked at him, I thought, "So it is, it's Ken Bruce, like, you know." So I had a little chat with him this afternoon. So that was, you don't do that sort of thing every day, like, yeah, it was good. He was really nice guy, like, he was really good. So yes, we had a bit of an interesting day.
I will say Maximum Stars, and yeah, it's your birthday tomorrow, Johnny. So yeah, thanks for joining us on the eve of your birthday, mate. It's good to see you. And of course, on a Friday night, if Phil's on the screen, you know who's going to be here. Canada's favourite Tim's going to be here. The Wise Man's going to be here, and he's also got the horns absolutely lined up perfectly tonight. And he's also got the Bulgarian booze back again, like he had last week. So it must have been a rough week for him. But anyway, Liam, how are you doing tonight, sir?
Aye, the horns are back out. I thought it was too soft last week. You know what? I'm thinking, you know what? Be positive. Because I was talking to my wife. She said, "Geez, you sound like you're going to kill yourself on these podcasts. Like, are you really enjoying it?" And I go, aye. So I tried to be all positive last week, and I figured, okay, this positivity, this will flow through the week. We'll suck it on. The board, it's just a blip. They're going to do the right thing. Of course, you know, can't happen 2 years, 3 years in a row. No. Well, I don't know. That's why I'm back on the Bulgarian rakia. I wouldn't recommend it to people, but yeah.
If there was ever a meme that was more appropriate for what you just said, there's that Mick McCarthy one that does the rounds where somebody says, "It can't get any worse than this, Mick," and he goes, "It can." That was it. You were 2-3 years in a row. It can. Yeah, it certainly can. So we will talk about, I'm sure we'll be talking about the board a wee bit tonight as well, transfers, lack thereof, and yeah, we'll obviously be looking forward to the Aberdeen game. But of course, before we go any further, folks, there's already 30 of you in the show already watching, so thanks all for jumping on this fine Friday evening. But of course, what you can do while you're all coming in is you can do all that good stuff. Of course, you can help us out right away. Well, like that always does very well for us in the old algorithms. It helps the channel to travel a bit further, allows us to be seen by more people who like Celtic related content, Celtic podcasts. So of course do that. If you are brand new to us as well, only just discover us and want to keep us in your life that wee bit longer, like the cut of our jib tonight, and of course you can subscribe. And good news on the subscriber front, we did indeed pass the 500 mark. We have now done it. Last I checked, we were on 510. So thanks everybody for jumping on. In that regards to that, I put a wee message out there on the community post the other day to announce that we'd passed by 500. 1,000 next. Yeah, that's the next milestone. So we'll see how long it takes us to get to that. But thanks so far, everyone that's helped us to get to 500. And as I learned only recently, and I didn't know this was a thing, I thought memberships only became available at 1,000, but apparently now memberships are available. So some viewers have been asking about it, and yes, we do indeed now have Boys on the Bus memberships for $1.99 a month if you wish to partake and you wish to contribute to the channel and help us out. You know, keep the wheels of turning on the road. Then you can do so. And do you know what you get if you join the membership, guys? Do you know what I've set up now in the Boise bus? It was like a little star that YouTube, basically the default ones that YouTube have is all these different coloured stars that you get. I've changed it. It's a little mini Celtic scarf that comes up next to your name now when you join the membership scheme here. There you go. So, I mean, what more could you want? You get a free Celtic scarf as well. So I do believe that Jim C so far has joined. So people in the YouTube chat will be able to see that Jim C has a very small Celtic scarf icon next to his name. And you too can get one of those Celtic scarves if you wish to join our memberships. But yeah, as I say, all of our content, of course, will remain free. There'll never be anything hidden behind Patreon, membership only, stuff like that. it'll all still be on here. And yeah, if you join the membership, then yeah, you get a wee Celtic scarf, and you get a few extra emojis as well that I've thrown in there. I think there's a Celtic shirt as well, like a green and white hoops to appease Johnny. Just traditional green and white hoops shirt. That's what it needs to be. That's all it is.
No sponsors on it, Phil. No.
It's a simple little green and white shirt. All it is with the hoops on it. Just the way it is. Nice and simple, very 1967-esque. And of course, another thing as well that's changed this week is the audio platform. We have a place where if you like to listen to us on the go, if it's hard for you to get online and watch us live on YouTube, or even just to catch up on YouTube at times, it can be a bit of a task. I know not everyone can sit down in front of a computer or a TV all the time to watch an hour and a half long show. If you're out on the go, you can now listen to us as well. The audio files of the shows will be going up on our SoundCloud platform, which the link is in the description below us there. And yeah, who is in our chat as well tonight? Let's find out. Let's have a wee look who is here tonight. So Jim C, as I say, is here on our screen right now. It's just a little default circle that StreamYard shows, but I do believe on the YouTube chat we'll be showing a little Celtic scarf. James Kennedy is here. Ian McIntosh is here. Stephen Ray is in. Ernest Mosley is in. Patrick McLaughlin is in. Joe Henry is here. Graham Tyrrell is here. Of course he is. Claxon at the ready, Joe. As well as Alex Forsyth. Joe Henry. Who else we got? Jim C. Just say I've no shouted out yet. 420 somewhere. Not got you yet. Chris M. Who else have we got?
No, we didn't.
I think I've managed to call everyone so far that has. Stephen McCarthy as well. There's another one. And yeah, I think I've gone all the way back up to the top there. So yes, thanks everyone for joining us. So yeah, I say a lot of changes this week. A lot of changes going on the channel and whatnot, a few new things. But do you know what hasn't changed this week? Do you know what isn't new this week? Ellen, in fact, last Sunday I said, at the end of the show, maybe we'll do a TikToking through the week if Celtic give us something interesting to talk about. And alas, Johnny, they've not given us anything interesting to talk about because, yeah, we have not moved on in terms of the first team squad compared to this time last week. Obviously, we had the St Mirren game. There was a few glaring issues. While I felt that we controlled the game, and St Mirren did ride the luck quite a wee bit. And I do think on another day, Celtic could have won it comfortably last week. There was still some very glaring omissions, and I think it was quite I don't want to say damning indictment, but I think it kind of showed where we were, that 34-year-old James Forrest had to come on and sort of change the game for us in 2025, Johnny. But I said last week on the post-match show on the bus home with Liam, I says, well, surely a game against Aberdeen coming up next week at Pittodrie. I'd like to think this week, we'll make some moves. We need to get some bodies in before Pittodrie, because it's going to be a tough game. We'll get on to talk about it a wee bit later on. But no, Johnny, here we are. We are still here at this point. And of course, Brendan Rodgers said today, nothing to report in terms of movement, players coming in. And here's an alarm for you. This coming Thursday, I do believe, is the deadline for registering for the European game, the tie that we've got coming up as well. Yeah, bit of a tidal wave coming towards us here, Johnny.
Oh, it's. I think I put it in our group chat when one of the lads had put some comment up about the signings, and I just said it's gone beyond a joke. I can't think for a minute I'm the only Celtic fan that's spent pretty much the whole of the summer, and certainly since the window opening, expecting to wake up or hoping to wake up and hear some positive news about a signing, and not positive news in regard just a rumour we're going to be going for X such a player, but they're in discussions, it's imminent, or there's even the signing's been done and dusted, and it's just dragged on the whole summer, and it just saps the life right out of you. And either I've woken up, I've had a look at my phone, there's no news, or depending where I happen to be with work, I expect to arrive, get my phone, or if suddenly I might be driving and all of a sudden I'm getting a whole load of WhatsApp messages coming in off our group, and I'm thinking, oh, something must be happening. And I can listen to it when I'm driving, I put it on and nothing. It's just more, and unfortunately it's negative stuff, but that's only because that's all they've been giving us is negative stuff. And with regards to last week, I watched the game. at Heathrow. I was on standby, and I don't know what was worse, being on standby, watching the game on my phone, and half expecting my work phone to ring and say, right, you've got an immediate report, you're going off to wherever, and missing the rest of the game. But it was just, we just don't seem to be making any progress whatsoever. Last day of the season, we kind of glossed over the dire attempt to beat St Mirren on trophy day. James Forrest coming up and scoring an equaliser to save the game and give us some sort of positivity on the actual performance of the game itself. Because obviously the result didn't really matter, but we kind of glossed over that.
Yep.
But to have almost a carbon copy performance on the first day of the season on Flag Day, it's got all sorts of alarm bells must be ringing somewhere. And the people who need to be hearing these alarm bells must be stone deaf and blind if they can't hear what's going on and see what's happening. I'm seriously worried about this season as things stand at the minute, and Champions League qualification is by no means a foregone conclusion. And because who's it again? It's
Bratislava. Oh no, wait a minute. I'll try and pronounce this correctly because it's a Kazakhstani team. It's down. It is. I know they play in the city of Almaty. I believe it's pronounced like Kairat, Kairat, but they won 1-0. Midweek. Obviously the second leg is in Slovakia, so we'll see if Bratislava can turn that around. But if it ends up being Kairat, and we are away from home in the second leg, which was interesting because I thought as the seeded team, part of the advantage of being seeded was you got the home tie second. But it turns out that we'll have to travel for the away leg, which will be a few days before we have to go to Ibrox. Could be a definitive week in our season, that Champions League qualifier, second leg, and then going to Ibrox for the first game against them this season. So it could be a definitive one, that one, Liam. But it's this coming Thursday. We have got the deadline to register new players. So unless there is a massive wave of players coming in the next few days, which, given how Celtic have sort of plodded their way through it up to now, I can't foresee lots of players turning up in the next few days. But given that Brendan Rodgers last week, when he was asked about it, would the team be ready for the European qualifier, he was quite confident after the St Mirren game. Says, we'll be ready for it. I have a funny feeling though you beg to differ on that one, Liam, knowing how you feel about Brendan Rodgers at times.
No, I think he started this season the way he finished last season. He doesn't seem to know how he doesn't have a team. He's playing wingers that shouldn't be playing because he can't adapt a system then to the team it needs to play. And all this, well, maybe he's proven a point to the board. He's got a voice. He's got feet. He's also got, pretty hefty bank balance of his own personal wealth as well. It's not like he can't afford to walk away, whereas people that invested much more things and all that. I mean, he can go and live in Spain, do whatever he wants, probably get a gig coaching over here in North America. I'm sure they'll fall for his bullshit. But honestly, see the amount of shite he comes out with lately. I'm starting to believe, I mean, I know I'm not going crazy. I'm not that old. I'm listening to what he's saying. I'm listening to what the messages he's trying to hammer home. When he keys in on certain words, agility, tenacity, all this bullshit when he's talking about players and about how he's going to change everything, all that. I've lost my patience with Rodgers because you know what you're getting with this board. Ange could do it. And when he didn't, he walked away. He went and found something better. And Rodgers has already walked away once. For him back, feeling that he's doing us a favour right now by taking it on the chin. I don't know. When did that become part of our DNA, taking it on the chin? We shouldn't be taking it on the chin. That's not who Celtic is. When have we ever take it on the chin and just move on? This is a team. I like supporting Celtic because this was the rebel team. And the rebel means standing up and fighting and, doing what you believe in and all that. And that's the attributes I liked at Celtic showed out there, what they projected. And I'm seeing none of that right now. I'm seeing none of that for our board. I'm seeing none of that for our coach. or manager, whatever you want to call him, Brendan Rodgers. Anyway, he's a fraud.
So you name now, Brendan Rodgers. Well, we were talking about some of the stuff he said in his presser today, because once again he came out with a few interesting quotes. Just quickly as well, Monty's asking how do you get a scarf? He came in just late. But yeah, we've now got memberships, Monty, on the channel from passing 500 subs. It's now a thing that you get. As I said earlier on, I was convinced it was all came at 1,000 subs, but no, apparently memberships are now available. So yeah, if you want a scarf, you have to get the old membership. And it turns out quite a few people have, because 420 somewhere is dishing out 1, 2, 3, 4 different memberships already. He's dished out. Joe Henry picked up one. I think I saw who else has got a wee logo next to him. Patrick McLaughlin's now got a wee logo next to him as well. Yeah, they're all coming in thick and fast. So that's how you get the wee Celtic scarf. Actually, that's the wee icon that I picked for rather than YouTube's default ones, which is just a generic star. So that's how you get your Celtic scarf when you jump on this the memberships for this channel. But yeah, in terms of the press conference, we'll touch on a few interesting things that he said today. I don't know if either of you guys have seen it.
I haven't.
The press does, right? Okay. So I think the most, I don't know if interest is the best word for this one, but near the end of the conference, he was asked by one of the reporters about Yamada not getting on last week. That was something that I think many fans, me included, wanted to see. We were quite intrigued by Yamada, even though at the time the signing did feel a wee bit like underwhelming. But as time has went on and you've learned more about this boy, in the very brief moments we got to see of him in pre-season, all the stats we heard about over in Japan about how quick he is, we're quite excited to see that. But he got asked about the decision not to bring Yamada on, and he got quite snarky and defensive with the reporter. I know, Liam, you probably won't be surprised to hear that, but yeah, he first of all seemed a bit perplexed that there was people out there that were surprised, and then obviously asked the reporter, like, surprised in what sort of sense? So then he was like, well, you brought on Johnny Kenny rather than Yamada, to which he said a sort of sarcastic line of, I don't know if you noticed, but I'm only allowed to have 11 players on the park. And then he's like, I chose to bring on Johnny Kenny at that point in time because we needed a goal, which, well, I mean, I did say last week. To be fair, I did say last Sunday, Johnny Kenny was inches away from being the hero. Again, it's small margins. These things can happen. If that ball getting cut back to him does happen to just fall around, as Marcus Fraser, I think it was, threw himself in front of it, then Johnny Kenny does score, and so and behold. But the whole demeanour was just very, I don't know, just the way he started. It made me a bit uneasy watching it, essentially, just listening to it. But yeah, he was obviously he's hitting out with I chose to put Johnny Kenny on, we needed a goal. And he also then said we scored in that time that he was on the park. But Luke McCown scored it, not Johnny Kenny. It was just very, very odd, Johnny. And again, I've seen some people through the week pulling up quotes from the first time around with Brendan, and his frustrations were boiling over shortly before he left. Now, I don't think it'll be a scenario like that. I don't think the window will close and he'll leave a few weeks later. I do think he is here to the end of the season, at the very least. Whether he signs another extension or whatnot, it's looking quite unlikely at the moment. I would say on the balance, it's probably unlikely. But I don't see him. I just can't see him doing that again. But there is still some very worrying hallmarks from a few years ago when you compare them side by side. But that one today, as I say, Johnny, very, very strange one. The way he just sort of got a bit defensive there. Again, just there was more the fact he was surprised that people were surprised. I think he kind of missed the point of what the boy was trying to say to him. It was like, fans wanted to see Yamada. It's not really that the boy asking him, Johnny, was criticising the decision to put Kenny on. It was more fans wanted to see Yamada, Brendan, but he got his back very much got up there, Johnny.
Yeah, see, the thing is, though, it's as far as new players go, that's what, at the start of every season, I know it's a bit different now than it used to be, but that was one of the big things, was seeing the new players that were coming in for the start of the season. We were excited to see them, and in fairness, we probably knew more about them then in the, a few years back than we do now, because we're bringing people in from here, there, and everywhere, all over the world. That would be quite nice if we did, actually. But we wanted to see them anyway because they are new players. But we had actually got little glimpses and heard a little bit more about him now than we did when we first got mooted that we were going to be bringing him in. And so, yeah, of course we all wanted to see him. And the fact that he's got the pace, and he seems to be, from what I can read about in the little bits we've seen, a bit of a buzz bomb, and it's exactly what we were needing on the game on Sunday last week, because it was just so, again, pedestrian. I mean, we just didn't seem to have any real spark about it. So why he would get himself a bit shouty about what would be a straightforward question, really, is, you know, you decide to pick Johnny Kenny. Well, fair enough, it's his decision at the end of the day, but we all did want to see Yamada rather than Johnny Kenny, who, by the way, despite signing that new contract he's just signed, he will be gone by the end of August on loan somewhere.
I would be surprised at that.
I don't think Celtic made any bones about that earlier on in the season. They wanted them to sign a new contract before sending him out on loan again.
Mm-hmm.
So, because he was in the last year of his contract, wasn't he?
I think he was, yeah. I would be surprised
if
that
send him out on loan to somewhere and then lose him for nothing next season. When we can send him out on loan somebody, whoever it is, might decide they might try fancy buy him. And I don't think he would cost a fortune. We wouldn't be expected to make millions out of Johnny Kenny if we sold him. So I think Celtic are just protecting the little bit of an asset that he is. He may well go and have a great career, and good luck to the lad if he does. But I doubt it's going to be at Celtic, if I'm honest. But, you know, not everybody can have a great career at Celtic, but we just need to have some more panache and a bit more get up and go. Because the old saying is, our get up and go is got up and went. And we need to try and get it back, and we need to get it done bloody quick as well. I'm really not expecting to see any signings before Thursday's deadline, and I'm just hoping that we get some before the end of the transfer window.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. He did say that he's confident we'll be stronger by the end of the window, but again, these two European games come before the end of the window. That's what's got a lot of fans spooked right now. And as you said earlier on, Johnny, you're right. It's not a foregone conclusion. I mean, Bratislava, yeah, we leathered them last season in the Champions League, but it's a two-legged affair this time. If we end up playing them, you know, it's you just don't know. Because with the first leg being at home, we could have a stodgy one where, you know, they sit deep for most of the game, 10 men behind the ball. We might nick it like 1-0, 2-1, but going out there with a narrow lead, you would need a performance like last year, beating them 5-1, then you would feel a wee bit better.
But the thing is, though, sorry to cut across you there, Phil, but the thing is, we did give them a pasting last year, but it was when we were flying and we were playing well anyway.
Yeah, we were.
You know, if we'd maybe played them at the end of the season or the end of the Champions League campaign, where we didn't look that clever against the likes of young boys and that, like, you know, we scraped past them. We might have just scraped past so just because we've done them 5-0 last year, wasn't it? There's no guarantees we're going to
one. I think we still are doing it anyway. 5-1.
Yeah. But there's no guarantees we're going to do that to anybody at this stage of the Champions League at the minute, regardless of who we're playing.
And obviously Almaty, say they're for Kazakhstan, they are like further away from us than Afghanistan is, and I say we're going to have to go there. If we have to play them second leg a few days before Ibrox, it's not an ideal scenario. Also, Pizzi 62 coming in with a fair point here. We signed Trusty, Valier, McCown, Engels, Ida, Bernardo, all in the space of a week last season. Jesus, that's quite amazing to think that, but it could happen again. But I hope to God that we have a similar splurge in the next 4 days, because it's a Thursday European squad deadline. Is obviously.
Can I just say something on that point there? Mm-hmm. Yeah, we signed them all roughly in the same week. It was in the last week, and out of all of them, how many of them have actually, would you say, have been a success for us?
Well, yeah, there's a few in there that stand out like a sore thumb.
The only one I would say that had been any real form of a sort of success was been McCowan, but that's maybe because he was already playing in Scotland and had a decent pre-season behind him. The rest of them were, let's say the juries are still out.
Yeah, there's definitely a few. I say Engels, I think, obviously got it in him. There has been some flashes there, but we need to see him really push on this season. Ida did score 20+ goals, whatever, in all competitions last season. Say we talk about Ida a lot, what we need to see from Bernardo. I don't think he's had a fair enough crack yet. And again, I think there's
agree with that.
Value, we didn't really get a chance to see him. We let him go back to Barcelona so they could sell him. And yeah, on a similar point, so Stephen McCarthy has came in with this one. £26 million worth of players were on the bench for the opening game last week, Liam. And of course, one guy that stood out, and it's an obvious one, is Austin Trusty. Now, we talked about it on the post-match show. It caught us by surprise big time. Does Brendan have trust issues with Trusty, so to say? That's the best way to look at it, because, again, pre-season, I think Austin Trusty, he got some decent game time. By all accounts, he had a pretty solid pre-season, and it was a bit of a surprise for Liam Scales starting. Other than, I say last week, I was maybe a bit harsh on Scales at times, because other than a bit of a mix-up earlier on in the game where, I don't think you realise Kasper Schmeichel was kind out his goal and started to pass it back to him, sort of misplaced his pass, and Carter Vickers had to scramble in and just clear it to anywhere. After that, he did kind of deal with anything that St Mirren did throw at us, even though they didn't threaten that much. But he was pretty much in control. At left back, though, he did obviously, as I say, the last week at times he was coming forward, and he did look like he was having a nosebleed getting forward. Didn't really know what to do with the ball at times. So that one's an interesting one, because another thing that's developed as well in the last couple of days, Liam, on the Austin Trusty and the whole centre-back stuff, obviously Simpson Pusey is joined on loan. Celtic finally announced it, and it was, 5 days after it'd been confirmed by Brendan Rodgers, and he'd already been sighted in the stadium wearing the tracksuit. But it was finally announced. But Brendan Rodgers interestingly said last week, after Simpson Pusey joins, we're not in the market for any more defenders. But it seems that this week we are. And it turns out this boy is not only a centre-back, this Obear, who plays for Cagliari in Serie A, but he can also cover at left-back. So I wonder if already Brendan, after putting Liam Scales there and thinking, nah, that's not going to work. So to me, it now looks like, despite what Brendan said last week, we are still in for another defender. And again, where does it leave Austin Trusty in this? Because, I would love to see Trusty establish himself properly. Last season, it was weird the way he was rotated so drastically with Liam Scales. It wasn't like the two of them got like a couple of games and then got rotated. It was like one was in for a few months, then he was dropped, and then the other one came in for a few months, and then he was dropped. Brendan kind of needs to make up his mind here on what is the strongest centre-back pairing for him. And say Austin Trusty, $6 million last season spent. You'd like to think that he would be able to push on and dispossess Liam Scales, but here we are. Could we see Liam Scales on the team sheet again on Sunday?
I don't know. There's something about me thinks he's playing them off each other, that he's going to go 1-2, 1-2, and just sort of let them fight it out. Because I was really alarmed today when he talked about the new boy, Jamal, saying that he's not up to speed. Well, he had a pre-season with Man City. In fact, I don't even know. Was he part of their squad that went to that Club World Cup?
Because he probably was there, but I mean, I don't think he got much game time if he did.
No, but even still, he's still training with that intensity. Yeah. I think it was a bit more upscale than the Cork City Cup, right? That we were competing in at the same time. But he's not up to speed. And I really don't get that. What do you mean he's not up to speed? He's a young boy, so it can't be fitness. Is it the way that we play for the back? Is that intricate that there's so much to learn at this level that he can't adapt to that at this point? So I don't know. There's another one, another mystery of Rodgers. And that leaves me bleeding. So it'll be one of the two that will probably be playing beside CCV this weekend. And I wouldn't be surprised if he started Trusty. And then he moves Scales to left back or something once Tierney's, had his shot or whatever. I mean, but here's another thing. It's just odd about Rodgers. Why have we not seen Scales playing left back in any of the pre-season then? There was loads of games where he could have, where we played the Japanese boy. And what I would have liked to have seen is okay, first of all, would it help Liam Scales come in and actually better develop to the position than when you're thrown in the last 20 minutes of a game that you're trying to win? Mm-hmm. I mean, this is all the stuff that's baffling right now with what's going on. It's that we just don't seem to be showing any aptitude in any division. We've had a player not registered in time. We've got bits missing for the stadium. We've got offers going in for players that are like 30% of the value and saying, we tried. We tried. That's trying. That's like juggling about all the papers and, and saying, I'm trying, It's just getting crazy right now. And I listened to podcasts this week, and there's so many Celtic supporters are just sort of like getting fed up. It's like you can just sort of like the air's coming out, and right now, come on, you got to inflate the passion for this brand, Celtic, because you've got something that's starting up. It's this like brilliant global entity, and it's shrinking and shrinking and shrinking, just like the pool of people in our boardroom. They shrink, they shrink, they shrink. The jerseys don't shrink for inferior players, but the suits shrink for our boardroom.
The club tie does.
Couldn't get any smaller. Oh, that's club tie shrinks any metal, strangle them all.
Well, in terms of what you were saying there, Brendan was also asked, does he understand fans' frustration? And the reporter that asked him also brought up the word anger and says, do you understand why some fans are starting to get angry? So, of course, then Brendan went into a rhetoric about, the board have shown over the years that they will get business done. And he also brought up this interesting one here, Liam, and it's from Chris M, saying the disconnect between BR and the recruitment staff and the board is disturbing, because he did say as well in the presser about what a great job Paul's doing, as in Paul Tisdale.
Aye.
And again, it's like, I don't want to think that nothing's happening at all. There has to be something, but it goes back to something I've said before, Liam, about Brendan Rodgers going on about we need quality, which, yeah, okay, that's a broad term to use. I totally get that. I just feel that he needs to be more sort of specific of what exactly it is he's looking for, because I don't imagine that every single player that's getting recommended to him is of a poor quality, essentially. So Brendan must get some sort of say. So if the way it's going with the number of players that we're not getting linked with that many players, it's only like one or two every few days at the most we might hear, but we're led to believe that there's a lot going on. So does Brendan Rodgers look at all these reports and just go, nah, not good enough, not good enough, not him, we don't need him? So I don't know, it does feel like there is a bit of a disconnect there with what is actually getting recommended to Brendan when he's talking about quality to us, the fans. What exactly is he's looking for? Is he communicating that to the Paul Tisdale and his team? What are they coming back with as options here? Because it's weird how, like, for example, this Jakob Broom, or Breum, however it's pronounced, the boy from Go Ahead Eagles, it's like, okay, we've had a few bids rejected. Well, if that's the case, move on to an alternative target. If we're not going to get him after that many bids and they're just not getting anywhere, surely they've identified more than just this guy, rather than just always going in on him. So to me, it just feels very disjointed at the moment, Liam.
Well, that's it. We have no idea. We're all guessing because we don't communicate. And Brendan's doing a poor job of communicating as well too. He's went the same thing. He likes to talk in riddles. And it's okay. So I'm good. I can solve riddles. I can follow patterns. And I can see the same patterns that you've used before. The fact that he came out and he praised Mike Nicholson this week. Mike Nicholson works 24 hours a day on Celtic. Mike Nicholson's doing a wonderful job. How is he? It's like, or Mick, as they like to call him, because that's one of the boys, right? Yeah. It's just really frustrating right now. And it's only frustrating because you feel like you've been taken as a mug. And that's what it is. It's like, it's very easy to see through. It's very easy to see all these patterns. Everybody's worked with difficult people. Everybody knows what you get promised and how you seduce people and all that sort of shit. It's not like we're oblivious to this stuff that's going on. We've got brains, and it's like, don't take us for mugs, because we see through all this stuff. And, I'm out here in Canada, but God, people are buying season tickets and all that. They're talking about value for money. So what's the value back to the fans? Because the fans are the ones that have built this club or this brand. You can't sell merchandise with a Celtic logo on it without 150 years of what we've done as fans to sort of help that, generational history that's been passed through this club and what we stand for. And they're taking all that and they're throwing that back in our face. It's almost like a standoff where it's like, let's just keep them ignorant and keep them guessing, and we'll play our own game. And it's like, Like Donald Trump builds walls. Jesus Christ, mate. He should have hired Peter Lyle. They'll need a wall, you know.
This rate, the way things are going, definitely. Johnny, I don't know if you've seen this, but AJSC Tech has brought this one up. Apparently, the comment was made by like the director of football at Go Ahead Eagles regarding Celtic's pursuit of Jakob Broom, I believe it's pronounced, and compared it to Rangers, who obviously signed a player from that same club just last week. And the way it came across in the media to me was they went to him and says, "How much do you want? Okay, you want that? There you go." And the boy was playing for them the other night in a European game. But while we are obviously, haggling, but I did hear this story, what AGSC Tech has mentioned there. Apparently, this time next year, he'll be available for $2 million in some sort of release clause. I don't know how that's all came about. But to me, again, it's like, well, why wait about for a year if you want him? If you really want him, if you've identified, if this is one of the quality players, Johnny, that Brendan Rodgers has talked about, he's had the report filed on his desk and he's went, "Yep, this is a guy." Why? Like AGSC's mentioned there $4 million. Apparently that's what we're looking at. Why wait for another year to maybe get him for $2 million? Another team could be interested at that point. He could have a really strong year, and this time next year, there's a few other teams looking at him, and suddenly he's like, "Well, I've now got a choice. I don't need to necessarily go to Celtic." So to me, it's like, if you've identified this guy as one you want, and it's $4 million or so, do it. Just go for it. I don't know what a Celtic try to maximise their profits here, thinking about the next move. You want to get him for as little as possible so we can sell him for as much as possible. So to me, I'm like, if it's $2 million a difference, to me, it's a no-brainer, Johnny, if this is the guy they want.
Well, of course it is. But the thing is, the key issue here is it's $2 million next year.
Mm-hmm.
It's not $2 million. The price now is, I don't know, what is it, 4 million, 5 million? What is it?
They're saying the AJC saying apparently it's about 4 million. Aye.
At some point in your life, when you're buying anything, it doesn't matter what you're buying. If I buy it now, it's going to cost me so much. But if I wait 18 months, the price will drop. If it's a car, for example, it will depreciate. I'll get it for, instead of paying 10 grand for it now, I'll get the same car next year for 7.5.
Yeah.
But I don't want to wait till next year to buy a new car. I want to buy a new car now. You've got to make the decision when you're going to buy it. You can't keep putting it on and off. And £2 million, somebody else will come in for him next year. And how much is it going to cost us if we haven't signed the players we want because we couldn't get them at the price we want? And then the worst thing happens is it 10 days we play the first Champions League qualifying game? How much it costs if we don't get through these?
Mm-hmm.
And even worst case scenario, we don't get through them, but Rangers do. The cost is going to be a lot more than a couple of £1 million. It'll be colossal. It could be. I wouldn't go as far as to say fatal. That's a bit strong, but it's it would be severely damaging to us as a club if we allow that scenario to come around and cost us the league next year because we haven't spent the players. Mm-hmm. It's just so frustrating. You hear this crap about, we think we've got enough to deal with the Champions League. All right, we think we've got enough to deal with the Champions League. Well, I'll tell you what, let's go buy a couple of quality players, whatever the quality is, as you said there, Phil, and let's make damn sure we qualify for the Champions League. Not, I think we've got enough. And if we go out and do that and it doesn't work, then we can't really criticise if we've pushed the boat out to try and do it. But what it would do is it would give us a team that would be in good contention of actually winning the Europa League or going very deep into that. And I know you don't make that same kind of money. But what do we want to see? We don't want to see how many zeros are on the back of our bank account.
Yep.
We want to see how many trophies are in our trophy cabinet at the end of each season.
Yep.
And we have a realistic chance of 3 every season when we kick off the league, domestic. We want to have some kind of chance of dreaming to go to a European competition. Mm-hmm. But if we don't spend the money and buy the players that we want, then it's never going to happen. And you've said there, Brendan, that he must be telling, look, I want a big centre forward who's good in the air, good with both feet, whatever. I want a left winger, I want a right winger. And they're obviously not bringing the right people
Yeah.
If Brendan's looking at people saying, nah, then it means his recruitment team aren't looking in the right places and they're not bringing forward the right players. Or I think of anything, or if I'm being honest, there's just something's just not right. It's just, but it's so, as you said, Phil, it's so Liam, it's so deflating, and it must be doing it to the whole stadium every time the guy. I mean, me and Liam, we don't go to games. Liam's in Canada, obviously. You go to the games where you've got far more right to vent your spleen than me and Liam have at the end of the day, because I'm not forking out thousands of pounds every year to watch this football club. And I'm not being shortchanged in that respect. I'm being shortchanged as a fan. I want to see my club be the best in the world. They're probably never going to be the best in the world in my lifetime, but it doesn't mean to say I don't want them to be. But they're making absolutely. They're not even trying to be the best in Britain. Never mind nothing else. It's just shocking. And I don't know why I'm disappointed. I've had 63 years of it, so I mean, I've had plenty of time to get used to it, like, you know. But it just seems to slap us in the face every season, and I don't know why we're surprised. In fact, we're not surprised, but you know, it's just so. For a team that's winning trophies and the dominance we've had, we should not be feeling as deflated as we are at the moment about our club.
Yeah, it's just that uncertainty that seems to come every time. You know, leaving it to the last minute. You've got European qualifiers. The Champions League last season was good. We thoroughly enjoyed the new format. It benefited us massively. We don't want to be on the outside looking in. Yes, there is a case for, if we are in the Europa League, we might actually have a chance of going a bit deep into the knockout stages. If we did what we did last season in the Champions League, although granted we are a weaker side right now than what we were when we played Bayern Munich a few months back. But one of the things that, you know, you're talking about what we want to see, Johnny, is not the number of zeros. We just need to win a knockout tie. It has been over 22 years, 23 years now, I think, since Celtic last won a knockout tie after Christmas in European competition. And it's like, that shouldn't be right. And we've probably got a better chance doing the Europa League. But sadly, the way the money is now in football, you want to be in the Champions League. But say we're just making up the numbers there. But say last season was a good buzz. We thoroughly enjoyed it. We did compete. Will the draw be as kind to us if we do make it in this time? That's the golden question. That's one of these things we won't know till it happens. We could get an absolute shocker of a fixture list. We did get a few decent ties the last time. It's all a mystery at the moment, but ultimately we want to be there in that Champions League. And right now, if the board are gambling with this team are going to be fine to get through, again, as you said, I've watched us lose to teams like Maribor in the Champions League qualifiers back in the Ronnie Dyler years after we got the reprieve against Legia Warsaw. Remember that? And then the next round, we got through, and you're like, okay, Legia Warsaw obviously battered us over the two legs, but hey, bullet avoided. We're through to the next round anyway. We made it. Who did we get? Maribor from Slovenia. We beat them, no problem. No, drew one each out there, which was a good result because of the away goals at the time. And then they beat us 1-0 at Celtic Park. So it's like, you can't take anything for granted. I think the year before that, or a couple years before that, I remember we played Karagandhi from Kazakhstan. And even though we beat them by the skin of our teeth for a last minute James Forrest goal in the second leg. And it was an amazing moment. But to get to that moment was an uncomfortable 2 games, because we lost the first leg 2-0 and had to claw it back in the second leg. And it's like, yeah, we don't want to, there's no teams you've even heard of making it difficult for you. So I say, if we do end up playing that Almaty, the Kazakhstan team, again, can't take it for granted that we'll scoosh them. No problem. The Kazakhstan, they bother. No, we cannot do that at all. But yeah, we'll look to the Aberdeen game now, because guys, it's 45 minutes into the show, believe it or not. We have spent 45 minutes just giving it out to where we are right now with the ball. But yeah, we have actually got a game this coming weekend against Aberdeen, a slobberknocker. 2 games into the season, and already we've got a trip to Pittodrie. But a weird ground for us, because on paper, when you hear that we're going to Pittodrie, Liam, it's always, it's going to be a tough one. But do you know, Liam, the last time we lost at Pittodrie, do you know when it was?
2003.
Oof, that's really far back. It's not as far back as that. 2000, it is quite far back, though. 2016 was the last time we lost at Pittodrie, which is still, we're talking 9 years. February 2016, Ronnie Dyler was still the manager. Celtic did win the league that season under Ronnie. It was the second season, although we do remember that was the season that we lost to a lower league Rangers side in the Scottish Cup semi-final. We kind of limped over the line. I think we got knocked out of the League Cup by Ross County, I want to say, at semi-finals. Rangers beat us in semi-finals of the Scottish Cup. And Aberdeen at one point kind of threatened to catch us in the league, but then they fell away. But they beat us in February 2016. That's the last time we've lost up there. We've had a few draws up there since then. It has been a bit of a tough one at times. They have provided, they beat, there was a draw a few years ago, the infamous Navrosky game, where he get turned left, right, and always by, what was the name of the striker again? Majowski. Yeah, it was that one. So we drew there. I remember we had a quite stinky 3-3 draw with them in the infamous COVID year. Callum McGregor gave away a penalty at the end. But for the most part, we do tend to do not bad at Pittodrie. And I know records are there to be broken and it's tempting fate and all that. I get that. But the weird thing as well about our wins at Pittodrie, Liam, is it feels like we never get just a sort of, we go up there and it's just a nice routine. We don't have to get out of second gear, like win 2-0, first three. It's all good. It's either we have to grind it out and we have to win it by the narrowest of margins, or we go up there and we absolutely ragdoll them. Look at our 2 games against them last season. We beat them 5-1 at the end of the season. And yeah, it was even like a full strength Celtic team. Absolutely took them apart. But look at the game in December, where it was 1-0. Hatate scored a goal quite late on where we had to really, really work for it. So what I would give Liam, just for us to go up there, not have to really get out of second gear and just 2-0, back down the road, no problem. But no, you're either getting one extreme or the other. We're either going to go up there and absolutely rattle them, or it's going to be going to have to work really hard for this today. So looking forward to the game first and foremost, Liam.
Always looking forward to the game. I mean, Johnny, you talked about what you give up to go and watch Celtic. I got to walk through 5 neighbourhoods. I mean, so 5 blocks at 3:30 in the morning to go to the game. Fucking junkies and everything, like craziness, just to get to a game. And I'll do that. I'll do that to go and watch Celtic. And Celtic Aberdeen, I wish I was confident going into this game. I'm no. I think it's a banana peel. I really do. I think just the stuff that's coming out, all the mixed messages, that's got to have an effect in the team. You just look at the supporters. I mean, we're talking to guys in our WhatsApp group and stuff that are like, don't think I'm going to go to this game. And I think there's a lot of people that are really just sort of like, just lowering it, the whole tone and all that, and the frequency is just lowering because the way the club are dealing with the supporters and the way just all the optics are really just negative right now, that we're not doing enough. And if that's the optics and we're playing a team where we didn't do enough last time to beat them, I mean, of all the stuff you talked about, they still beat us in the cup final. I know they beat us on penalties, mind you, but still beat us. We had a hard time getting this team motivated again and getting the momentum back. And what I seen last week doesn't fill me with confidence that we're going to go up there and absolutely ragdoll these guys like I think we should. Because you think about it, we should be doing that. You should be going, this is a team that took away a treble for you guys. I mean, that speech for the dressing room was already written for them. Yeah. Will he be able to do that? He couldn't do it on the day last year when he needed to do it. He's got mostly the exact same team playing again, minus
a weaker team than what played that day.
Weaker team, and less options on the bench. And the bench was what killed us in that game. And then we've got even less options than that. I don't know. I mean, yeah, I'm not feeling confident about this one. I don't like to project negative stuff on Celtic. I always hate giving us a negative result. I always like to think in my head we're going to win 3-0 every game, and we get pretty good value for that as well. But Celtic talking about value this week, value for players and value for that, and getting value for Johnny Kenny by signing him a new contract and all that. Yeah, we need to get some value back for Celtic. That's what's diminished right now. The value is being diminished. It's just getting, and even the expectation of fans, that's getting devalued. So yeah, you got to put the value back.
Yeah, no, definitely do. So I can understand the your feelings on it. It was one of the ones when the fixture list came out. you see it's second game of the season, and we've still got Ibrox to come as well this month. So I mean, two pretty difficult away, two of the toughest away games you can have on your calendar in the space of the first month of the season. So yeah, the Aberdeen game. Yeah, even before we even got to Ibrox, we've got to go through that first and foremost. I can understand. When I saw it as well, I was like, typical. And fun enough, 2 years ago, our first away game of the season was also Aberdeen at Pittodrie. What are the chances of that getting, first away game of the season being Aberdeen?
Phil, also just let me add as well. So that's the one banana skin, right? So the other two banana skins, because banana skins always come in threes.
Okay.
John Beaton, Andrew Dallas. There's your other two.
Is that our referees for the game, right? Okay.
This has got all the potential of just going Charlie Chaplin,
God, so let's hope. Now, the thing is, as well, though, Johnny, is both teams, I think, are going to be up for it for different reasons. Aberdeen obviously want to keep the feel-good momentum going after winning the cup final. It's probably going to be one of those cup finals we're going to end up hearing about for years and years. Like Hibs fans still going on about 2016 and whatnot. It's something that they'll hang on to for ages because probably won't win a trophy for a wee while longer, but fair enough. So they're going to want to keep that going. There's going to be a lot of, taunting, a lot of mockery from the Aberdeen fans. I mean, the last year with the title challenge that they had, they were trying to fabricate a real rivalry against Celtic on social media, and like even their own official Aberdeen account getting involved with wee digs, wee bits of banter and all that. You'll try to make it a big rivalry and then say getting the cup final win. But of course, as Liam said there, from Celtic's point of view, they should also be up for it because they want to, as it says in the title of the show, right some wrongs and go up there and prove that it was just an off day for us. It was just a fluke. And see, the track record in recent years at Pittodrie is mental, where we can go up there and we can absolutely squish them. I said earlier on, and I said it on the post-match show last week, regardless of the scoreline against St Mirren, if you actually look how that game played out on another day, we could easily have went and won that about 5 or 6, because we did make plenty of chances against St Mirren. They were stodgy at times, but we still hit the post twice, hit the bar. The keeper got a couple of good saves. We had a couple scrambled off the line. So actually, the scoreline kind of didn't really do the game justice. Celtic have got it in them to go up there and win comfortably. But one thing that's going to be so crucial, Johnny, is going to come down to how they start the game. I always find that in the last year or so with Celtic, see if they do get a hold of the game right away and get to their sort of style. We usually have went on and won games pretty comfortably. It's when you're up against a 10-man defence that haven't really got much, don't want to really push out. They want to sit deep and try and hit you in the counter, and then it turns into the sideways passing. So the mentality will have to be so spot on from the first minute, Johnny. If we can come out the traps flying, get an early goal, maybe 2, Aberdeen's game plan goes right out the window, and it could go on and be anything after that. So it's going to be so crucial how they start the game on Sunday.
Yeah, and that's the secret to any game is, we should be more than good enough to come out the traps flying, score that early goal. I always think that in that type of game, you score the early goal against a team who wants to dig in against you. It doesn't completely change their game plan, but it changes it enough that they've now got, because their game plan is always the same. I always think these teams, their game plan is keep Celtic out and score 1 goal.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't manage to do it in, say, that first 5 or 10 minutes, right, we've not managed to keep them out, but now our game plan is we've got to keep them out now for the next 80 minutes and score 1 goal. So the game plan changes slightly, but it doesn't fall apart. You need to score that first goal and then really go for the throat. And I said to David last night, I was with David last night, and I said this could be an iffy game tomorrow, because like you just said there, we've got some stadiums where the bits of a myth. I always think we have a tough time at Aberdeen. Mm-hmm. I always thought the same about Hearts as well, but when you look at our record against Hearts and Tynecastle, they're not as tough as it initially looks at. And I said to David last night, I said, that's going to be a dodgy game that tomorrow. I'm kind of worried about that. And David, I didn't see the Aberdeen Hearts game or the Hearts Aberdeen game at Tynecastle, yes. But apparently Aberdeen were no great shakes. He said they weren't what you would call impressive. But I can only go on what David said there. But I think Sunday is going to be a tight game. I won't be able to watch it. I'll be listening to it as I'm driving down to Heathrow. It's going to be a bit of a nervy drive, I think, unless we come out the traps. But I just want to go back a few minutes. Do you think we're going to have these 2 difficult away games this month? Or if we get the Champions League draw where we've got to go out to Kazakhstan, are we going to say, well, let's put the Rangers game at Ibrox on the back burner?
It turns out we can't
We've got the
because
option to do that,
it's
haven't we?
the third fixture of the season and Rangers have exercised that right. Rangers and Hibs have exercised it for the third fixture. We've opted not to. It'll be Livingston. We're playing at home. It's only the third fixture because
is it right? Okay, yeah.
it's the game before the first leg of these European fixtures. But Brendan Rodgers asked that today and he says, no, we're definitely going to play that. To be fair, I can get the logic there because Rangers have guaranteed they're not going to play their third fixture and that's going to be put on the back burner. So if Celtic can win at Aberdeen on Sunday and then beat Livingston, and then I think after that it's the Rangers game, Celtic are going in guaranteed, what would it be right now? What 2 points in front after the first game, so it could be 5 points if Rangers win their other game. So you're looking at that, even though they'll have a game in hand. So Celtic are obviously, it's Livingston. They have taken points off us before at Celtic Park, so you can't rule anything out. But realistically, Celtic should be looking at, winning that very first three because the game that comes after that, the European game, will be at Celtic Park. It's not like we're travelling there. So it's that's in between. But either way, we've opted not to postpone it, but Rangers they have opted to postpone it. But I don't know who they're playing that weekend. But the Rangers game will be going ahead as expected on the 31st August, I believe it is.
Right.
But yeah, I say it was an option that the SPFL have given, but we've exercised the right not to. And yeah, in terms of the team, then let's go through. So we talked earlier on. Wouldn't be surprised if either Austin Trusty or William Scales started. We talked about the centre backs earlier. The midfield, well, I say the rest of the defence should be what we'd expect: Alistair Johnson, Carter Vickers, and Kieran Tierney. Because last week we were told Tierney was taken off as a precaution just for cramp, because again, not played a lot of football in 2025, so it's caught up with him a little bit. But yeah, so I'd imagine Kieran Tierney will be back, and he was shown in training anyway, so I wouldn't have any worries there. But obviously the midfield is where things could get a wee bit interesting. Liam, now Negrin, we talked about him on the post-match show. My summary of him was I think he played fine without being outstanding, which again was kind of a whole review of the entire performance last week. We were all right without having to be outstanding. But again, I don't think he was. I've seen a few fans saying they weren't impressed by him and whatnot. I think he did. I think he did okay. A lot of safe passes, a lot of sideways, and a lot of backwards passing, just holding on to the ball. But again, with St Mirren being the way they were, there wasn't a lot of passing lanes there, so he had to sometimes just about turn and just pass it sideways and whatnot. But obviously, Engels did come on. He did get some time on the park. Where do you stand then? Would you stick with Negrin, Liam, or would you get Engels back in there? Because I think Katati keeps his place, and obviously McGregor's going to play because he is a club captain. But that other jersey seems to always be, much like last season, it's always up for debate.
I thought Negrin was good when he played on Sunday. I thought he was okay. I thought his first couple of corners were good, and then he just slowly, they just got worse and worse. He was unlucky not to score a goal, which I thought it was a brilliant save that was getting tipped off the bar. I think it hit the post twice. I'd play him. I'd play him in the wing, though. I wouldn't play him. Yeah. I'd play him up in the wing. And I'd also look at playing McCown on the wing as well. I think the two of them have showed more that they've done to sort of maybe get a game on the wing than Yang or Trilio, I mean, if you play them on the wing, maybe there's a chance of playing our best centre forward in the middle. I mean, how novel an idea would that be? The one guy that maybe can score some goals. This is going to be a physical game. So yeah, so maybe Engels back there just to give it a little bit more oomph, a little bit more body, because I thought they've done a really good job of bullying us. They didn't bully the young boys when we beat them, when we hammered them at the last game, because they were all guys coming on with something to prove. Mm-hmm. But the guys that are comfortable and all that, they got bullied. They got bullied a bit. And I'm glad that, was it Papa and Gay or something?
Yeah, he's away now.
Oh, what a prick, man. The way he went after Hatate. So I'm hoping as well that there's a wee bit of steel in their team as well, that although he's not there as well, like, let's make sure that if that is a tactic, and they are going after Hatate, or they're trying to be overly physical as well, let's see some of their guys squaring up to them as well. You know, let's make sure that we don't get bullied. You know, that's my only problem about McCowan playing, and you know where he plays. I think he gets. I don't know if he gets bullied, like intimidated, but he's physically. There's a lot of big bruisers in that position as well that can put him off his ball. And I thought Rangers did a good job of that. So I'm thinking maybe moving him out to the wing or Negrin out to the wing will just give us a spark that at least, you know what, it shows that we're being creative, we're trying. We're looking for options of different ways so that when you don't get down to the low of the list, it's Trello. And somehow you've got Trello playing ahead of guys that have already produced for Celtic and have showed you that can actually play at this level, because your thing is like you're looking at buckets and identities of positions rather than players and attributes that they can bring to the team. So I think right now, Rodgers be really clever to try and find a place that he can start McCowan because he's actually contributing.
No, definitely. And also thank you to Joe Henry for the ringing endorsement. He'd rather see me play on the wing than Yang. And thanks very much for that one. Somehow I think, even though Yang has been I think Yang would probably do a wee bit better than me, to be honest. It is weird though, and I think it speaks volumes that we're here talking about these issues with the wings and whatnot, and we're talking about the game of football where you can, and believe it or not, guys, you can play a different formation and a different system. With a team right now that we've got that's very lopsided, you'd think that the manager would maybe have an alternative formation and say, right, I don't have much in the way of width right now. I should go for a more compact formation, as they call it, the diamond, you know, the four in the middle, the diamond, an attack midfielder, two centre midfielders and a sitting midfielder, a defensive mid position, stuff like that, and rely on Tierney and Johnston getting up to support the attack and provide you with the width. And then you'd have to maybe play two up front as well. Maybe that would be... See, this is a novel concept. Maybe that would be something. But no, it just seems that nowadays, not just Brendan Rodgers, but a lot of managers out there have very much, this is how we're going to play, this is my system, and we're just going to stick to it. But it does baffle me that, you know, when you've got a team right now that's very lopsided with all the problems we've got with, you know, letting players go and not replacing them, maybe shift the team around to accommodate the tools you've got. You know, it's worth a shout, isn't it? But I don't expect Brendan Rodgers will do that. It'll very much be, he'll stick to his current formation. But in terms of wingers, let's bring him up, because I said last week he was robbed of the man of the match, Johnny. James Forrest, here we are in 2025, 34-year-old James Forrest coming on last week and giving the game the much-needed spark it needed at the time, because, yeah, we weren't really getting anywhere, but he came on within 5 minutes of being on. He'd already done more than Yang had done on the entire time he was on the park. So I said last week, we're in a position here where James Forrest probably has to start at Pittodrie. The question is, though, Johnny, would we get the same level of performance that we got last week from Forrest if he starts the game, or is it still a case of he should come off the bench as fresh legs, because that's when he'd be at his strongest at this stage in his career?
No, bring him on from the start. Just said that, what, 5-10 minutes ago. Try and get the game won in the first 15-20 minutes. Don't bring a man on to try and catch the game up again. He started, correct me if I'm wrong, but did he not start in the game in the league last year when we destroyed them? And he
did, yeah, he was good that night. Aye.
And he tore Shinnie an absolute new one, didn't he?
Aye, that's right. Shinnie, I feel like Shinnie was playing like fullback that night or something like
that.
He was always up against him.
Absolutely tore him a new one. In fact, Shinnie got taken off early in the second half, I think. But no. I mean, Yang put him in a rocket and send him to space, as far as I'm concerned. If I ever see him in a Celtic shirt again, it'll be too soon. Like, he is fucking mince. Does he ever try and get to the byline? No. He seems to give him the ball on the halfway line, you run halfway up the pitch, and then he does a right angle turn and starts coming in. I'm thinking, where are you going? You don't know where you're going. Now, that's going sometimes for some players, that would be a good thing. We say, oh, well, how do we know what he's going to do when he doesn't know what he's going to do? But not with Yang. He's just gassed.
That cup final performance was honestly like playing with a man down in extra time. It generally was, and if I remember right, Forrest came on and had to go off injured, and but Yang was on, and honestly, it was like we were playing with 10 men in extra time. He was so ineffective. Every cross just went out of play. Every pass was just to the wrong person. He just couldn't get into the game at all, which was weird because a couple of weeks before up at Pittodrie, he actually had a very good game at Pittodrie that night, Yang. But yeah, just too inconsistent.
But no, I just don't rate him. I'm with the, I'm with Russell. You know, I'll never see him as a Celtic player.
Not in the Yang gang, definitely not in the Yang gang. No.
I couldn't be further away from the Yang gang if I tried. Honestly, he's a winger. He will never be a footballer. He might just manage, but a winger, he's never going to be.
No, definitely not.
But as I said, the straightforward answer to your question is Forrest starts. I think I see the logic in what Liam's saying regarding Nygren and or even McCowan out in the wing. I've seen some YouTube clips of Nygren, and he was actually coming in off. He was doing Nicholas Kuhn. If you'd said to the guy, "This is Nicholas Kuhn scoring this goal," you wouldn't have been able to argue because it was very similar to the goals that Kuhn was scoring at the start of last season.
Yeah.
So I see the logic in what Liam's saying, but it's not going to happen. I think I think Brendan's going to play Nygren in the same position as last week, same midfield as last week. I'm just hoping that he puts Forrest on instead of Yang, and I don't see it happening. I would love to see him surprise everybody by playing Yamada from the start, but I don't see that happening either.
Yeah.
But
or just Yamada to make an appearance would be nice. And
I think we'll be in for very much the same as we had team-wise as last week.
Yeah, I think it'll be the same. So it'll probably be Adamida through the middles. The question is, Liam Wiseman, will Adamida get those goals? Will he kickstart his season this coming Sunday? Will he bang in a goal or two, or maybe even three? Because remember he did want to score 30 goals, which is totally fine to say that. But yeah, he's got to obviously do it. And yeah, I really hope he does. I mean, as long as somebody in a Celtic shot always puts the ball in the net, I don't mind. But yeah, as I said last week, he gave me one of the best moments I've ever had in a supporting Celtic, and I want him to do so well. But yeah, last week I did think he looked a lot more motivated in the way he was throwing himself about, but unfortunately the end product just was still the same. But at least he did look like he was in the game. He didn't get subbed off after 60 minutes, which seems to be a trope of his. As soon as the first set of subs come up, it's always number 9 is always one of the first ones to go. So he was kept on a bit longer, but yeah, ultimately he just couldn't get it. But he was unlucky with one of the shots that hit the post, so he chased it down at the back post. He just put his laces through it from close range, and last week it just battered off the post. So it's like, oh man, sums it up. But yeah, as Adamida, we're being a physical game as well, Liam. I mean, they've got what you always talk about, a big Serbian baby eater at the back as well, Aberdeen, don't they? So you're going to need Adamida to use that upper body strength against guys like him. Is it going to happen? Is he going to get a goal this weekend, Liam?
I don't know. I think you need to. Adamida's one of the guys you need to grab and put him down on a Frankenstein table and put 10,000 volts through him or something to just sort of get that pivotal moment where he goes through this barrier, whatever it is that's holding him back, to actually become the football player that might be in there. And I don't know what it is. I mean, honestly, he should be cutting about Glasgow right now, and hopefully with Spider-Man filming in there, that he might get bit by a radioactive spider, because that might be the only chance we have with Adamida. And anyway, Spider-Man, I think, was like really good in green and gold. Surprised we haven't done that yet.
We'll see if Big Adam can pop up with the goals. But yeah, see, right now he is the main man through the middle. So hopefully he can kickstart his season. It'd be fantastic to go up there. Revenge might be in there from Celtic. I mean, I don't think Brendan's going to be going in all blood and thunder with the team talk. I think it was just a wee reminder. Just remember how you felt back in May when they were lording it over you after beating you. So it's like, use that. channel that. And in an ideal world, how funny would it be if we do go up there and say win 2-0 and McGregor and Alistair Johnson both score after missing the penalties? That would be quite a tremendous one. But either way, as long as Celtic go up there and get the win by hook or by crook. But yeah, it's a bit of a bipolar fixture. You either get one extreme or the other. So in terms of predictions, I'm going to fall on the side that it is going to be a bit of a struggle, but we will find a way to get a very narrow victory. And yeah, I'll go for. I said I'd love it to be one of those ones like last season, go up there and absolutely do them like 5-1 or something like that. And it's not outside the realms of possibility. We've done it quite a few times in recent years, go up there and win pretty comfortably. But I feel like, yeah, Aberdeen, despite being pretty ranked rotten against Hearts on Monday night, I think they'll just be fired up just because of what happened in the cup final. They'll just want to try and keep that feel-good factor going. But I will say that Celtic will win it 2-1, I'll say. And 3 points back down the road. And we can put the next Aberdeen fixture on the back burner till sometime next year up at Pittodrie. But Johnny, how do you think it will play out? What's your prediction?
I think it's going to be a tough, nervy game. But I'm going to go for a 2-0, I think. But it's going to be a bit of a slog, I think.
Okay. Well, I'll say I'll take that for again 3 points and down the road. Liam, how do you think it'll play out, man?
Oh, fuck, I don't know. Like, my brain says 1 each. My heart says 3-0 Celtic. You know, but yeah, I don't know. I don't feel good about this one. Kai Jeon Jing, as they said in Star Wars. You know, yeah, I'm not feeling it. This could be the banana skin. Oof. And that would, you know, and I don't know. Maybe that's what Rodgers needs. Maybe that's what the team needs. Just something early, just to sort of like, again, tie us down that Frankenstein table and put the 10,000 votes through us. We just need something to spark this team to life. And maybe that'll be it, you know. I don't think Aberdeen's a good team. So
no, I don't think so either. I think the way they fell apart last season, and they said they were absolutely ranked rotten against Hearts on Monday night.
But I don't think we're a good team, and I don't think we're hitting on the things. We know got the right formation. I mean that, and it's just the mood, the supporters, just the tone, everything that's going on right now. I think that is probably carrying through to the players right now as well. I mean, what must be Kieran Tierney thinking, coming back and gain up all that money to come and play with boyhood heroes, and then watching them sitting there haggling over, you know, 2 million here, 2 million there. You know, fucking hell, that boy's gave up so much to come back and play for his boyhood team. You think the boyhood fans and the boards would see that same sort of commitment and try and do something so you don't embarrass the boy, you know? Christ's sake. Anyway, hail.
5-0 Celtic at the end there, Liam. We'll just go
5-0 Celtic, Greg Taylor hat-trick.
Adam Ida hat-trick, Greg Taylor to come on and get another 2. But yeah, we'll wrap up there. That's an hour and 12 minutes. There's still 80 of you watched as well, so thanks everybody for sticking around tonight. And I think we were up at 90-something at one point as well, so it's been a busy Friday night. Say the mood obviously around the club right now is we're just a bit confused really as to what's going on, what is the plan, what is the strategy. But said on Sunday, I said regardless of what we feel right now about the board and where the club's going and how it's operating right now, as fans, we have a duty to get behind the team regardless of the state the team might be in right now. We've got to get behind them. I say last Sunday it was the same. I went there wasn't a toxic atmosphere, which a lot of people thought there would be. It was very much a case of, right, we might not necessarily be too happy with how things are right now, with how we're progressing through this window, but the real stuff has started now. We need to get behind them, and it'll be the same on Sunday and every game going forward now. So yeah, the fans that do go up to Pittodrie are going to need you, obviously, getting behind them up there, and yeah, hopefully it's going to spur them on to a rousing victory up there, because as Liam rightfully says, it's got the potential to be a banana skin. I did say earlier on, we've got a great record up at Pittodrie in recent years because we haven't lost there in quite a while, but these things are always there to be broken. So hopefully, though, that doesn't happen this coming Sunday. But yeah, we will be back on Sunday. Terry shall be back as well for his post-match. He is back from Lanzarote. I'm sure he'll be all sunned up as well. You know, a nice new fresh tan as well. So he'll be on. And yeah, I think there's a couple other guys from the team have messaged me saying that they want to jump on. So yeah, but Terry will be here anyway to lead the way on the bus home. He'll be driving the bus home. So hopefully he's got a nice positive result to talk about. Johnny and Liam, thanks for jumping on tonight. I think we got a lot off our chest tonight, and that was 45 minutes. It flew by in a heartbeat because we were just too busy giving it out about what's going on right now at the club. But anyway, we got through it, guys. So did you enjoy yourself tonight, boys?
No.
Always do.
Oh, I thought so.
No.
Oh, don't worry, Liam. $5 Sunday, mate. I'll cheer you up, mate. He'll be perfectly happy when we go and scud them on Sunday. Exactly. Crack that open, Liam. That'll get your spirits up, mate. And yeah, of course, on the way out, say hit the like button. Subscribe if you haven't done so yet. We do have memberships now. Get your Celtic scarf next to you in the chat, folks, by getting the membership as well. And yeah, we'll see you on Sunday for the post-match show. Hopefully a nice rousing victory for Celtic. And yeah, we will see you back here then. So all the best, folks, and see you later. Cheers.
Cheers.